I wanted to make the ultimate ergonomic desk setup video. A lot of people are working from home right now, and ergonomics has been something I thought a lot about in 2020. Now, this desk setup, of course, will be focused around the iPad, but it will also work with a Mac or a PC. I'll put links to everything I mentioned in the description below. I was sent this electric standing desk from a company called Putorsit. It's a $220 electric sit-stand desk that's an excellent value for what you get. It's 4 feet wide and 2 feet deep. It's the perfect size for a small office. For a $220 standing desk, it has excellent build quality. Most standing desks in this price range don't have a control panel and they aren't electric. Now, this one does have a control panel so you can program specific heights to it and you don't have to sit there and hand crank it every single time. Overall, I like this desk, especially for what it costs. It's a great deal. But there are a couple of things I don't care for. So the first is the top ships in 2 parts. So when you put it together, you get this seam down the middle. I get why they did it. It's for all about the economics of shipping and all that stuff, but I don't like the seam going down the middle. Then the other thing that I don't like about it is the control panel. Now, the control panel I do like as how it works and how you can program different heights and all that stuff. That's pretty standard for an electric standing desk. But what I don't like is the control panel goes to sleep after a specific amount of time. So that means when you hit it, it wakes it up, and then I forget it wakes it up. So it doesn't do anything, so I hit the button again, okay. But there's a pause between hitting the button and it doing something. So I'm like, okay, nothing registered again, so I'll hit it a third time. And by the time I hit it the third time, it will have started to move, so it cancels that movement. So then I have to hit it a fourth time. It would just be so much better if the control panel didn't go to sleep. The first step is to put the desk at the standing height. This is where the cords will be pulled the tightest, so this is where we need to make sure they have the most amount of slack. If you set everything up in the sitting position and then all the cords are pulled really tight, as soon as you go to put it in that standing desk, everything's gonna get pulled apart. Things are going to get ripped out of the outlets. We don't want that. So make sure it's at a good standing height, the standing height that you are going to use it at. Next, we're going to take our power strip and we're going to put it on the cable management rack. Now, there is a few different ways that we could do this. If you want to mount it to the actual desk and it's not super heavy, the one you have. Now, the one I have here is just an Amazon Basics one. You could put command strips on the backside and stick it to the back of the desk. Sometimes that works, but if it gets to be too heavy or too much is pulling on it, it will get pulled down. Command strips are great, but they definitely have a weight limit. So for me, I'm just gonna put it on the cable management rack and I'm gonna have the outlet side facing out. This way, it's really easy for us to get access to it and plug devices into it. I also ordered an extra cable management rack just in case we needed it. I wasn't sure if we're going to, but it's nice to have in case you want to bundle up cables and put it on that. I also ordered these cable ties, which you can put cables into them and then stick to the bottom of the desk. That way everything is up nice and neat and you don't see any extra loose cables hanging around. So even though I work from an iPad, I do like to use a monitor so I'm not looking down all day long. I recently ordered the LG 4K Ultrafine monitor. Now this is a good monitor, not great, but I didn't really want to spend the $6,000 to get the Apple Pro Display XDR, so I didn't need that. But it's got good color reproduction, it's 4K, I like it. I'm happy with it. But what's great about it is it works with both a Mac and an iPad. So if you have both of those devices and you want to use them with this setup, you can easily just use this one monitor for that. It also comes with a VESA mount. So what we can do with this is Putorson sent me a monitor arm as well. So we're going to attach that to this desk. So that way we don't have to deal with the monitor stand being on the desk itself. Because again, this is a small desk setup. So we want to keep as little amount of stuff on the desk as possible. Once we start adding a bunch of stuff, that takes away all your space, then it just feels cramped. So we're gonna try and keep as little as possible on the desk and we're gonna hang stuff from it when possible. Now the LG 4K Ultrafine monitor has USB-C ports on the back. So we're gonna use this as our hub. So if we need to plug any extra devices in, like audio devices, SD card readers, whatever, we can plug them in here, and then that will get attached to whatever computer we plug into it. And if you're somebody that's switching between an iPad and a Mac, that way all of your devices just get ported over to whatever computer you're using at the time. If you don't have an external monitor to use with your setup, I do recommend at least getting a laptop stand, something that can get your device, your computer, whatever, to eye level, so that way you're not looking down, because when you're looking down, that gets to be really bad for ergonomics. My personal favorite is the Lamical laptop stand. You don't have to get that one if you find one that you like more. That's totally okay. But this one is my personal favorite. I've been using it. I kind of got it at the beginning of the whole COVID lockdown thing, and I've been using it ever since. A big part of any of my desk setups have been the speakers. I hate sitting in silence. I'm somebody that can't sit still. As you could probably tell from these videos, I also talk with my hands. I move a lot. And I hate silence. So speakers, they're a big part of my setup. So for this setup, again, because we don't have a lot of space, I'm gonna use two HomePod minis. For $200, you get two HomePod minis. You can put them in a stereo pair, and you can easily connect them wirelessly as your audio output device for a Mac or an iPad. Now, they don't sound as good as the full-size HomePods, but they're fine. If you just want to listen to music or a podcast or an audiobook or something while you're working, they're going to work for you. This desk also comes with a hook. Now, it's advertised as a hook to hang your backpack from, but I wouldn't do that. There's only one screw holding it in, and if you have a heavy enough backpack, it would rip it off. But what you can use it for is to put your headphones on there. So it's a great place to just hang headphones from if you have over-the-ear headphones. If you don't have something like this on your desk, you can easily get one of these really cheaply from Amazon. Personally, I like the ones that go underneath the desk and not sit on top of them. First off, they're a lot cheaper. Second of all, it's less stuff on your desk, so less clutter, and especially, again, small desk, we want to keep as much stuff off this desk as possible. So let's talk peripherals. So keyboard and mouse, an important part of a desk setup, especially since we're using an external monitor with an iPad. A keyboard and mouse are really important because that's how we're going to interact with our device. Right now, my personal favorite is the Keychron K8. I love mechanical keyboards. This is a wireless mechanical keyboard, blue switches. If you like the more compact layouts of keyboards, you can get one of those as well. And I believe they have a version with a number pad also. For the mouse, I'm going to use the Magic Trackpad 2. This is hands down the best mouse to use with an iPad. The trackpad support is really good on the iPad. For some reason, the actual third-party mouse support is a little buggy. So I've had a lot of people ask me about using a Logitech MX Master 3 with an iPad, and it works. It absolutely works, but for some reason, sometimes when you scroll, it will hang for a little while, or it'll get really, when you're moving the mouse around and the pointer around, it'll get a little sluggish and then speed up. There's just something about the third-party mouse support. It's a little buggy on iPad OS. So personally, I've just been using the Apple Magic Trackpad 2, even though I do prefer a mouse over a trackpad. So speakers are one of my favorite parts about a desk setup, but my other favorite part is lighting. There's a lot of really cool things you could do with lighting, especially just setting a specific mood that you want for your working kind of setup. I personally really like warm lighting when I'm working. Now, it makes it really hard to film, but it feels really good when you're sitting at your desk. So I found these lamps on Amazon, and I immediately fell in love with them. So one thing that I did buy that I really wasn't sure I was going to be able to use is this power mount. Now, what's really cool about this is it mounts to the desk, and it gives you 3 outlets and 2 USB-A ports to plug things into. I've seen these before in the past, and I've always wanted to try them out, and I just never have. So I picked it up, and it's been kind of handy. It does just take up a little extra space, and if you're looking for something that's really aesthetically pleasing, this kind of goes against that. But it's handy, it's useful. You don't have to crawl underneath the desk anytime you need to plug something in. So anytime I need to charge like a camera battery or one of my devices or something, I can just plug it right into here. Also, I didn't forget. I know it would not be a YouTube desk setup video without a fake plant. So the last thing I like to do with a desk setup is kind of button up all the cables. Go underneath the desk, wrap everything up, put Velcro straps around all the loose excess cable so that way you don't just see a bunch of cables coming down, getting all wrapped up and tied together. Everything's in a nice, neat bundle. I'm gonna use these cable clips to mount everything to the bottom of my desk. So the way they work is you put the cables in the cable clip, you rip off the sticker piece, and then you just stick it to the bottom of your desk. So if you're planning on using an iPad at your desk, one thing that you can do if you have like the Magic Keyboard or the Smart Folio keyboard is close it up and use the iPad in clamshell. So close it up, it'll shut off, it'll lock first, just hit something on the keyboard or mouse, wake it up, type in your passcode, and it'll unlock. Now, this works sort of. It's still mirroring the iPad, so your iPad screen, even though it's all closed up, is actually on right now. And you also still get the pillar boxing on the side of the monitor, which is unfortunate. Honestly, I've just learned to live with the pillar boxing, and it really doesn't bother me anymore. But I still do want true external monitor support, Apple. Like, please, pretty please. But the big issue of using an iPad like this is anytime you need to trigger Face ID. So if you need something from like iCloud keychain, or you're purchasing something from the App Store or whatever, the iPad is on, but it's covered up right now. So it's gonna show that the camera is being covered up. So you have to open it up and then trigger Face ID that way. So that's kind of annoying. I really wish it would detect that it was in clamshell mode and then just give you the option to use your passcode or Apple ID password or whatever. So that's it for this ergonomic setup. We have a standing desk, we have a monitor on a monitor arm so we can adjust it to the proper height. We got a good keyboard and mouse for ergonomics. This is a solid setup. If you're somebody that works from a desk all day long, I highly recommend looking into the ergonomics of that desk setup. Now, you don't have to use the stuff I gave you here. These are just options. You can do your own research if you want to find something else. But if you would like to use some of the stuff that I mentioned in this video, I'll put links in the description below. Let me know what you all think in the comments, and have a great day.